But the guy who sells...
The ovalness and the two round dials, one above it.
It had new tires on it. Caren means cute in Japanese, so
Okay.
you put some tires on it.
Yes, I did. I put some tires on this. So Peter, I'm excited to have a look at your collection, and you've obviously got a lot of bikes. This is not the first time I've been here, but a lot has changed. You've got, you know, one big bike, we could say, but there's a lot of things that are small, so you've got a bit of a penchant for small bikes.
Yeah.
Shall we go through and have a look, and you can tell me a little bit about them?
The reason I have all these little bikes is I never had them when I was a kid. You see, I wasn't allowed.
Yeah.
And so in my dotage, I went and decided that it'd be fun to collect them. And they are a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. They are. I think we should start with the Vespas, because it's one of the older ones in the collection. I'm admittedly not the best Vespa enthusiast, because not because I don't enjoy them, I love riding them, but when people try to get into the intricacies of the models, I just start to doze off a little bit, because I don't know. So, what have we got here? This is
1983.
Yeah.
PX200E.
Okay.
This is pretty much a survivor scooter, you might say. That's original paint. I put a different seat on it to make it a bit more comfortable. And I've toured on it for the last 11 or so years since I put it on the road. Came in from Japan. Head's never been off of it.
Okay.
So it's an amazing machine. It's still quite dependable. It's probably getting to a stage where I might have to do some maintenance on it, but it runs well.
I mean, putting air in the tires is maintenance, isn't it?
Yeah.
That counts.
Yeah, but it's the typical old Vespa. You know, you got leaks where the clutch lever comes through to actuate it on the engine. Yeah. Etc.
It's interesting. It's even got these are aftermarket, I imagine. These foot pegs here.
Yeah. The pillion.
That's really
pegs.
Cool, because otherwise the pillions kind of, if you don't have longer legs, you have to just dangle them over the side covers and hope.
Yeah. Well, it's also really good when you want to put a spare jerry can on it.
Yes.
So
it would be, yeah. You could kind of like hold it in between.
It actually holds it really well, and I know because I've ridden this all the way down to Bluff and back.
That's a long way. I'll throw a map up now and show everyone how long that is. Was that from Waihi?
That's from Waihi.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sweet. I'll just make sure I do the accurate distance. This thing here was, I'm not going to say a mistake, but it was a lockdown accident.
Well, yeah. It was me being cheeky and looking at an auction in Japan for which is a dealer only auction, putting a really cheeky low bid just to see what it would go for, and I got it.
You don't have to reveal to us how much, but
it cost me less than the PX,
and that's been in New Zealand for a decade longer.
Yeah.
so and this is newer, arguably.
Yeah, so this is an 89 versus an 83. Okay. This was supposed to be the replacement for the PX series, and nobody liked it. But it's got some interesting things like a linked hydraulic brake system.
Okay, that's early for a linked brake system.
Yep. And it's supposed to be a little bit more deluxe. Got a few more plastic bits on it. But basically, it's a Vespa through and through. The engine's pretty much the same as the one on the PX. The
ovalness and the two round dials, one above it, it's just odd compared to that. I'm very used to the this Speedo shape here, or the really, really small ones on the pressed steel frames.
Yeah.
But that's super interesting. So you've had this for a while. Is it road legal at the moment? Yeah, it's got a plate on it.
Completely road legal, registered. The warrant of fitness that we have here in New Zealand. It's got an electric choke. It's got an electric fuel tap. So not a vacuum one, not a manual one, but an electric one.
Okay. If you don't know anything about Vespas, that's the kickstart there on the right hand side, and that's your foot brake for the rear brake. That's for the rear, and then you've obviously got your front brake here.
Yeah, remember this one's got a link brake, so it actually actuates the front.
And the rear.
And the rear as well.
But the rear can be used alone?
No.
No, the rear...
The front can be used alone.
Okay, that's odd and a bit different than a lot of other bikes that have linked braking systems. Okay, from the Italian domination through to the Japanese domination, I would argue that you've got a lot more Japanese bikes than anything else, and that's kind of just makes sense really, especially with New Zealand's bike scene in general. We didn't get as... Well, we did for a long time, Jawas and stuff like that, and then by the time you moved here in 1981, Japanese stuff was a lot more common?
It was very common, yeah. I mean, there's still a following of British bikes, But the Japanese stuff, of course, proved itself to be very reliable.
Yeah. What do you mean I don't have to rebuild the engine every couple of years?
Well, I used to be a mechanic on British cars, and I always had thought that they were designed to be fettled.
Yes.
Fettled.
Yes.
You had to do something to them all the time.
Absolutely. That was half the fun. So you've got two Honda Cubs in one way or another here. One of them's a actual Honda C50 with 17-inch wheels. Next to it is the little Cub, but it's a Cubra, which is special. We'll get to that soon. But where's this Cub from? You've had that for a long time, haven't you?
Yeah, that's a one owner from Auckland, and basically outside of tires and tubes and a battery or two, that's pretty much as it was from new.
I've got a spare windscreen I'll gift you.
Okay.
I've got two of them actually if you want them.
No, I won't say no. And of course the Cobra, as I mentioned to you, I'm getting ready to make road legal, so all the fancy body panels have come off of it. That way the compliancer can actually see the engine and chassis number.
So you've had to take a lot of the body panels off so they can see
The
frame numbers for registry.
frame and engine number.
Okay, yeah.
So
That makes sense. CB350, so this is a big bike for me.
yeah.
Your history with big CC Hondas, they had a huge domination in the States. So did you ride any growing up?
I never grew up, for one thing, but but apart from the obvious, my first ride on a real motorcycle was a Black Bomber, a CB450 in 1966.
Okay. Yeah.
And what a bike!
Yeah. I've no doubt. That's a parallel twin. The 400 would have been 450 would have been a twin as well.
Twin overhead cam.
Yeah. Let's quickly mention the Shadow. The Shadow exists. How long have you had it for?
I've had that one since 2010.
Is it a 2000s or is it like 90s?
2005.
Okay.
One owner.
Yeah.
I've added the Batwing and the bags and whatnot.
Yes.
And it's a nice touring bike. It's only 33 kilowatts or 45 horsepower on the old term.
Nothing super dramatic, but it gets you where you need to go.
Yeah.
You can chuck two people on it if you really wanted to and be happy.
I haven't had a pillion since 1971. That's a story in itself, which we won't go into.
Not today. So yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I prefer I prefer riding a bike of this shape. I've ridden lots of cruisers through work experience, and yeah, they're not fun bikes to have a person on the back. So no, that's cool. 750, it'll get you along at the speed limit wherever you need to go happily.
Yeah, and I met a couple, on the other side of the gorge in Pyro. Had the same bike, same year, same color. And I said, they don't go around corners very well. He says, what's the rush? And I would agree. It's just a plotter, and I'm a plotter on two wheels anyway.
If we look at this collection here, which is the first one out of these six? The Stream?
The first one out of this would probably
including the Tact as well?
Would probably be the Stream. I mean, if you want to go back, you'd have to go in the house and have a look at my Velo Solex.
Yes, that's
which
true.
I've owned for 35 years.
Yeah.
And I used to joke that it had the hand change on it, just like my old Harleys.
Okay, so the Stream, this was an import from Japan as well. I know that because I had some dealings with you when you were
Yep, you
getting
put some tires on it.
Yes, I did. I put some tires on this. I put tires on the wheels. You're one of those nice customers that delivered the wheels to us instead of the whole bike. I love that. That was my favorite. But this is a throwback from a BSA design. Daihatsu used it. BSA failed with their attempt.
Yes.
They made it, but it didn't sell very well.
Notorious Aerial 3.
Very skinny wheels that were a lot bigger in diameter, I think, than that.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's actually some differences in the design, but Honda licensed the Wallace design.
This was the first of the Honda tilting bikes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Stream. So this came out, and eventually, obviously, this led on to the Gyro. And even in this day and age, Gyros are hugely popular in Japan and used as delivery bikes for all the food companies. They even have electric, I believe, now.
Yes.
And just recently, in the last year or two. But this is not electric. This is 50cc, twist and go. It's sitting upright, as we can see, and that's thanks to a wonderful parking brake, I believe.
Yep.
A lot of features that are on this also fed through to the Gyro. So if you've got a Gyro, and you look at this thing here, and you don't know what it is, you need to learn. Because look, it's got all the same features. Have you replaced that parking?
Yes.
That was broken last time I was here.
Yeah, I got a replacement, a new old stock one out of the Netherlands.
That's amazing. CMSNL.
Yes.
Yes.
Great people
Consolidated Motorcycle Spares.
Great people to deal with.
Yes.
I would highly recommend them.
I'd also.
And they
love
they
a
are not
tour.
sponsoring this clip.
Yeah. I wish they were. We might as well go right to the back then. You've got a Tact here. How long have you had this Tact for?
Well, the Tact and the Caren came in at the same time, so last year.
Okay.
So that's unrestored original. That's a survivor. Typical parked up bike, rusty tank. So I found a replacement vacuum fuel tap in Poland.
Yep.
So it's got new tires, new fuel tap. It's taken a few goes to get the carburetor cleaned, but I think I've finally got it licked now.
I can hear a scooter arriving.
Yep, that'll be Ray.
Fancy seeing you here.
Good morning.
How are you? We're just going through the collection, having a bit of a chat about it, and then I'll do them all one by one. So we talked about the Tact at the back there. So the Tact and the Caren came in at the same time.
Yep.
The Caren was a weird one for me to research because it effectively, to me, it looks like an Express.
It is.
Yeah.
It is an NX50. Caren means cute in Japanese. So,
Okay.
So the person who rides it doesn't necessarily want to see the manager.
Okay, yeah, so that's good. This is before those days, and it looks like, if you tidied up like that front wheel and repainted it, or is that how it came?
And new tires. This came in, and again, it had sat for a long time.
Yeah.
That's the original seat, original paint. So it's a real neat little survivor
The
bike.
seat height is genuinely not that far off my knees.
So it's another noped.
Yes, yeah. Most people don't understand why these are made. In Japan, they've got these urban inner city speed limits of like 30 kilometers per hour.
All 50s. You can be out on the open road, the back roads of Japan.
Yes.
And the speed limit for a 50 is 30 kilometers per hour.
Some people describe it as a family bike, and what that I was like, and that was a direct translation of a Japanese article, and I'm trying to think what's a family bike, and what they mean is you just have this at home, and whoever needs to use a bike, you just jump on it, go down to the shops. Okay, so from one shopping basket to another, we've got the Yamaha TRY, which is a fantastic name. This one here, according to the internet, once again, when you're looking at all these small scooters, you occasionally get like a Japanese advertisement that's been translated, or WeBike will have a paragraph.
Yep.
This thing here was designed for people who were concerned about how their bike looked, younger people. They wanted something a bit cool, and this is what they came up with. It's got a very, it looks fast sitting there doing nothing. How long ago did you get this?
Again, it came in last year.
Okay.
This one actually I got through Yahoo Japan.
What was the experience of buying through Yahoo Japan compared to a dealer auction, which you've normally done?
Well, I was still using the same people, but the guy who sold me this one, I should say, has a specialty of selling small, really tidy small machines.
Okay.
And I just love the styling. I call it sort of traditional Japanese bazaar, and hence why you get the certain shape of a headlight or whatever. This is is for like triangle.
Yes.
Hence why everything's triangular.
Yeah, see, I didn't even put that together in my head, but it makes sense. It's just a throwback to an era where they had the money to burn to design these different models, and effectively they're just putting the same engine in 20 different bikes, but they're trying and seeing what works. From the Yamaha TRY to the manly Yamaha Towny.
Yes, it's the man's moped.
Yeah, so they it depends what articles you read on the internet about this. All of them say it was designed for men, supposedly, and I'm doing this when I say it. So they had the Pasola at the same time, and that was the ladies' bike, supposedly.
And the pop gal.
Yeah, and the pop gal as well. But this thing's cool because it's got big wheels. What are they, 15s? I'm not even
14
sure.
in the back and 16 in the front.
Oh my gosh. Wow, so it's like a super bike, essentially. It's got, different sized wheels.
It doesn't have superbike suspension.
It does have twin rear shocks though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And shaft drive.
Yeah. So that's a really interesting little machine there. And they use the shaft drive on a few different bikes. It's got this is the tank, isn't it?
No, that's the oil tank.
Oil tank.
Under
Fuel
the
tank is
seat,
under the seat.
yeah.
Okay. You can see the design processes. Everything's very pronounced. It's there. You can see where everything's attached. The seam of the pressed steel frame is really apparent. I just like it. It's a cool little machine. Tiny headlights. It's got to be 6 volt, I imagine. So they're probably not putting
It's got a battery about.
yeah. So they're not putting out much light. And then compared to a very similar time, maybe 1-2 years between them, the Squash, from a different brand, obviously. This is Honda versus Yamaha. This thing's tiny, and this thing here is a very popular bike for, in these days, for modifying, putting really wide wheels on them and lowering them in Japan. Not many people do it because you're limited engine-wise unless you want to swap a Dio motor in.
Yeah, there's quite a few Dio swaps done to them. This one's a survivor, and that's what I've tried to bring to my collection, is stuff that isn't restored, warts and all.
Yeah.
Again, the typical carburetor cleanup.
Yes.
It had new tires on it.
It's just so small.
Yeah.
I was saying that the Caren's knee seat is about knee height. This one actually is. It genuinely is knee height. I don't know, imagine it's 1981, you roll into your local Honda, Yamaha and Suzuki dealership, you're trying to choose a bike. There's a lot available. There's 3 or 4 different 50cc twist and go models from each brand. Yeah. This here, I mean, this should be the Caren because it's the cutest one. But the Squash does make sense. It's tiny.
It's kind of a variation on the Moto Campo. It shares a lot of parts with it, actually.
Okay, that's interesting. It does make sense. Original airbox and everything on the side, which is a big part of the aesthetic as well. And then from a Squash to a whale.
Yep.
This is the Yamaha Beluga. So this is an 80cc twist and go.
They made a 50 version of this.
They did make a 50 of the
and
Beluga.
An 80.
And an 80.
Yep. Then they had a different shape, again with a 4-stroke, which had a 125 and a 180.
Okay.
And a 200.
Okay.
And the Salient is a different machine entirely.
Entirely, yeah, which is at the back there.
Which is at the back, yeah. I'm just sorting out carburetors. Again, that typical...
It's got very big eyes sitting off the side there, the turn signals.
Yeah, this is the EU-US requirement.
Okay. I was going to say, if you're not careful, it's almost wider than the handlebars. You're liable to clip them off if you're going between a set of cars.
Yeah, but it was just the requirement, and this has got I put a JDM taillight on it.
Okay.
Because the indicators were literally falling off.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that looks really nice and clean, and obviously, quite nice. And
it's a lot smoother.
Oh, and it's got a document tray.
Yeah.
You could fit A4 bits of paper in there. I'm not sure if that was by design or not, but probably.
Yeah, you can put a satchel in it, and that's about it.
And then you've got things like battery under here because it's an electric. Is it only electric? Oh, there is no kickstart? Or
there is a kickstart on this side. It's just hidden away.
Okay. Right.
And the battery's on that side as well.
Okay.
6-volt electric start, so you can imagine what that's like.
Yeah. I can. I really can.
If your battery's a bit tired, you just forget about it. It's got a new battery in it.
Yeah.
This was sold new in New Zealand in 1984. A friend of mine from the Vintage Car Club owned it at one stage and then sold it to his neighbor who rode it twice or 3 times and parked it in a garage for 10 years.
Interesting.
Wanted to get rid of it, and as I mentioned previously when we were talking about the bike, I made a donation to the Auckland City Mission to feed homeless people as payment. So this one I've basically just tidied up.
And it goes.
And it goes quite nicely.
Yeah.
They, in my opinion, were probably not the best model that Yamaha ever put out.
Absolutely not, but it's nice that it exists and it still exists.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I agree. There's a few models that definitely missed the mark there in this era.
Yeah.
And that was one of the inevitable consequences of them trying everything they could. If I had money to go buy a brand new bike in Japan, a small scooter, in 1983 to 8, I'd still be deciding today. If I don't stop myself now, we're going to keep going forever. So.
Yeah.
We'll call it here, but thank you so much for showing me through these. And if you want to have a look at what Peter gets up to with his vehicles, I will throw a picture and the name of his Facebook up here, the Beatnik Bedouin.
The Unusual Adventures of the Beatnik Bedouin, which started out as my crazy travels.
Yes.
But with the pandemic and no travel, it's become more of a bike and car thing, Yeah,
there's lots of adventures up there. So check them out. This is an incredible collection, and thank you so much. We'll see you on the next episode of Small Bike Stuff.